AI makes Python more valuable for finance professionals, not less. So, if you're in finance and wondering if you should learn Python in 2026, the answer is probably, most likely, yes. And this video is going to take you through the logic. A year ago, we published research analyzing 2,718 job postings across 42 major companies to answer one question: should any finance professional learn Python? Our research aimed to help us understand how companies were using Python in the finance function and what the trade-off between different tools in finance look like. Part of our work produced a relational map of these tools, and now, a year later, things are changing fast. Here's the original tool map: two axes. The vertical axis is interface abstraction. Tools at the top, like Tableau and Excel, are high level. They hide complexity. They're convenient. Tools at the bottom, like Python and C++, are low level. They expose complexity, giving you low level control and opening up possibility and use significantly. The horizontal axis is scope of utility. Tools on the left are specialized. Tableau in the upper left does one category of task very well. Tools on the right are general purpose. Python can be applied to almost any data problem. When you plot the tools, they fall along a diagonal. That diagonal is the efficient frontier. Every tool that survives in the market has found a defensible position on the trade-off between convenience and capability. IKEA sells furniture kits, convenient, limited. Home Depot sells raw materials, flexible but demanding. Both survive because they sit at different points on the same trade-off. Tableau is IKEA. Python is Home Depot. That was the landscape a year ago. Then AI arrived in force. As I kept thinking about the map over the past year, I was drawn to one spot in particular: the upper right corner. That position would mean maximum scope and maximum convenience in a single tool. No friction, no real constraints. You desire something and it's done. I started calling it Aladdin's lamp. And here's the thing about AI. Part of the hype, part of the appeal is that it represents some version of this. And while that may sound like a hype statement itself, a closer look shows that AI is materially pulling every tool on the map toward that corner, like a black hole, sucking everything in. The question is, which tools have moved the most? Before I could answer that, I needed to understand how AI was actually being accessed in finance. Not the marketing version, the real version. And I identified three categories. One, natural language in an open browser. You open ChatGPT or Claude and ask a question. The convenience is high, but the model has no grounding in your specific data, your firm's policies, or your regulatory context. Two, natural language inside an existing tool. So Microsoft Copilot in Excel is the clearest example. The AI is scoped to the data in the spreadsheet, and that's a better governance than the open browser, but Copilot can't reach beyond Excel. It cannot connect to an external database, enforce a firm-wide data standard, or chain operations across systems. Microsoft themselves warned users not to deploy it for any task requiring accuracy or reproducibility. And those are their words, not mine. Three, programmatic access via Python. And this I see as fundamentally different from the first two. Through an API, you define what the model sees, what tools it can use, and the constraints on its output. You can feed it your firm's actual data. You can build validation, audit trails, and error handling around every response. Of the three categories, this access point offers the best governance over what AI does and produces. And this third category is why the map has changed so dramatically. AI is not just another tool that sits on the map. It changes the positions of the tools that are already there, and it does so unevenly. Tableau and Power BI, they've gained some scope through natural language query features, but the underlying architecture still constrains them. Modest movement. Excel with Copilot, meaningful improvement. A finance professional who could not write a VLOOKUP can now describe the transformation they need and have it generated. Microsoft's own team reports that Copilot compressed their FP&A reconciliation from 2 hours down to 10 minutes. But the ceiling is the tool itself. Excel moves up on the convenience axis more than it moves right on the scope axis. From what I can tell, Python moves the most, and this is the key point of this entire piece. AI has done two things to Python simultaneously. First, it made Python dramatically more accessible. The friction of learning syntax, debugging, environment setup, all of that has been reduced substantially by AI coding tools. In fact, 25% of Y Combinator's Winter 2025 batch had code bases that were 95% AI generated. Second, Python is the primary interface through which AI models are accessed programmatically. Every major AI API is Python native, so Python's scope expanded massively at the same time its accessibility improved. That is the counterintuitive finding. AI has not reduced Python's advantage over its alternatives. In fact, it has amplified them. The common argument, if AI can generate code, why learn to code at all, assumes AI moved every tool equally. It did not. The gap between what a Python user with AI can accomplish and what an Excel user with Copilot can accomplish has widened, not narrowed. And the data supports this. GitHub reports that 46% of all code is now AI generated among active Copilot users. 90% of Fortune 100 companies have adopted Copilot. Cursor hit $2 billion in ARR in March of 2026. On the finance side, 44% of CFOs are now using AI in 5 or more use cases, up from 7% a year ago. Gartner's 2026 survey found nearly 60% of CFOs plan to increase AI investment by 10% or more, even as headcount growth in finance collapsed from 6% to 2%. Finance teams are not growing. AI investment is, and the professionals who understand how to govern AI, not just use it, are positioned very differently. So, should any finance professional learn Python? A year ago, about 10% of jobs we surveyed preferred or required Python, and that's already a lagging indicator. AI has pulled every tool's position toward the upper right corner, but it has pulled Python's position the furthest. And in my opinion, this puts Python in a really unique place when we look at what it can do in relation to other tools on the map. I anticipate that Python in finance is going to continue to grow in demand over the coming years. The full article with all the data, footnotes, and figures is linked below. And if you found this interesting, please subscribe and turn on notifications to catch the next video.